initiate chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only awaits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All above the Betty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Betty Express. In a beautiful.
Hey, you guys, it's Mo. And for those of you who are new to this case, I am using the whiteboard of truth because this case is all the crazy, but it can be kind of boiled down to a few kind of pertinent facts. So this case is about a family. I need to get a bigger whiteboard of truth for this mobile whiteboard of truth. Can boil down to a family. So Chris and Melissa Wolfenbarger were very young when they got married. They got married in their teens because Melissa was pregnant with their first child. And then she became pregnant with their second child very shortly after the first child. It was not a stable relationship. There were allegations of DV and, infidelity. So where this case gets a little interesting is who Melissa is related to, because Melissa's mom and dad, and this will become important for later, turned out to be, well, infamous and responsible for 5 homicides labeled the Flint River killings in the early to late 70s, 80s kind of time frame. So this was unknown at the time that this incident started, or this case kind of started. So this happened around 1998 to 1999. Again, there are a lot of kind of holes in very concrete or definitive timelines in this case, but it's generally agreed that 1998, around Thanksgiving, was the last confirmed time that everyone agrees that Melissa was seen. Sadly, and you'll come to know this, Melissa had a very chaotic childhood. Her older sister gave birth to a stillborn baby and went to jail for improper disposal of that baby. Melissa actually discovered the dead baby. So from the defense, the story was that Melissa's disappearance has less to do with Christopher and more to do with her serial unaliving parents, though her mother was basically accused of accessory after the fact in moving the bodies and not the actual person that red-rummed the Flint River decedents. She still was greatly involved with helping her husband elude justice for many years. So Melissa's parents do file a missing persons report. Now, prior to her disappearance, Melissa had signed permanent custody of her 2 children to Christopher's mother. Now, this will be a hotly contested point between the state and the defense. Basically, the state and Melissa's parents are going to claim that she would never knowingly leave her children. She would never knowingly, abruptly leave her children's life, when it looks like in reality, as a young mother, maybe struggling with not having the best parental role models, and that tumultuous early 20s part of your life, wasn't handling it very well, but had enough love for her children that she made the difficult choice to relinquish custody until she could get her life together, or she was aware that it was going to take a long time for her life to get together. But so that is kind of one of the big differences between the defense story and the state story. And the reason there has to be 2 different stories is because in 2000, thereabouts, about 6 to 8 weeks to months. Oh, please tell me this isn't okay. Internet might be glitchy. We are in storms. sometime, I believe it was 6 to 8 months, I'll have to look at my notes, after she had disappeared, in a location very close to where the marital home was and where Christopher had previously worked, a skull was found sort of in the middle of the street, having been dragged there allegedly by a dog. So basically, a skull was found, and for whatever reasons, that didn't prompt a closer look at the location area for any other various and sundry body parts until nearly 2 months later, where limbs were found. So arms, legs, but not a torso. The torso has never been found. But the tragedy here in the investigation is that it was kind of foobar from the beginning, because the skull, it had decomposed to such a degree within the plastic bags that they were unable to get any forensic information DNA wise. Now they were able to eventually ID this skull as belonging to Melissa with dental records, but that was only after the skull was mislabeled as coming from a white male youth. And there was a missing person in a very close county that did match that description. So the police assumed that this skull had nothing to do with the limbs they found, but also was a male. So for a long time, the state didn't have the skull and limbs linked at all. That wasn't until 2003 when DNA and cold case detectives were able to link the dad, Carl Patton Jr., to all of his Flint River shenanigans. And he was linked to the skull and limbs on DNA because his DNA popped hot for Melissa's remains because he was linked to it. So that's kind of where this entire case broke. Now, in further levels of what the effery, mom and dad start a campaign as soon as Carl Patton Jr. is convicted of his various and sundry crimes, and his wife, Norma, received immunity based on testimony, basically turning state's evidence on her husband in order to convict them. They were both under the delusional and completely delusional opinion that Carl Patton Jr. would get probation or parole if, the only thing stopping that was basically Chris Wolfenbarger, Melissa's ex-husband, not having been convicted. So Norma took this delusional thought and, in all actuality, really did put in a lot of effort. She got linked in to a cold case true crime podcast and did a lot of lobbying, did a lot of media and pleas and advocacy for her daughter. But it does seem like with the sole purpose of getting Carl Jr. out of prison, not for getting, not for the primary reason to be getting justice for Melissa, they seem to, up until the day of his death, fully believe that Carl Patton Jr. would get probation, would be free to go if Chris Wolfenbarger was convicted of this crime. No, sadly, not any relation to the burger joint. So as all of this is going on, the police do focus in on Christopher because there was, a history of DV. Melissa, prior to Thanksgiving, had filed DV charges on Christopher, had signed out a temporary restraining order, but she did drop that restraining order a week later when they were to go in front of a judge to discuss the matter further. Now, the judge, in something that the state thinks was highly in poor taste of the judge dealing with a woman who's in a potential DV relationship, allowed Christopher and Melissa to talk to each other prior to the hearing on the PTO being dissolved or going forward and becoming more permanent. Now, the state will allege that Chris coerced her, and her being, trapped in this relationship, that went ahead and, uh, you know, dropped the charges. That being said, the state hasn't gone far enough. There are definitely things that point the finger at Christopher. The location of the body parts being very close to where he used to work and where the marital home was. But the investigation was FUBAR. The state, despite knowing in 2003 that these were the remains of Melissa Wolfenbarger, took their sweet A time going and testing the marital home, with luminol to see if any traced evidence of this dismemberment, which would definitely leave trace evidence, in whatever location it was done. They basically waited until 2015, I believe, to go luminol the house. So the saddest part about this case to me is that there will be no justice for Melissa because of the case that they presented with missing or lost evidence. The fact that this is a cold case and this is from Fulton County, Georgia, a locality that is plagued by lack of infrastructure corrosion that has led to basically infestation of both mice and cockroaches going through their evidence stores. The cockroaches and mice are high as balls up in Georgia. So this case has been a cavalcade of, we can't find the evidence, we lost the evidence. Sure, there were more reports, we lost them. And audio being cursed. It is from the same brain trust of Adrian Love, Fannie Willis, and some other guy who annoys me as well, from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. So buckle in. And before I forget to pimp this out, do go over and give a like and a subscribe to Justice is a Process. They do have the best coverage of this trial and a lot of other trials with, as good a audio as I can find. And he also has, or the channel, I'm guessing he, but I always sort of gender things he if I don't know their gender. So they have segments where when we missed certain witnesses from the state due to audio issues, we can go back and look at those. But I figured we were on a roll on the defense's case. Thank you, Wolfram, for putting up the link. But I definitely feel like I should pimp them out, encourage you guys to go give them a like and sub and support them because they do real yeoman's work as far as covering these trials with a clean feed that I can use, and it is just awesome.
Mr. McDermott, the defense may call its next witness. Sir?
May we approach?
Do you need to approach? Sure.
Now, I will say I have found this judge to be a very good listener. And, unlike Judge Bev and Judge Gull, she seems to actually take a very, objective look at, the legal question in front of her and tries to make the best choice. Now, I brought this up yesterday, but I do wonder.
Defense may call its next witness.
what the jury felt, because as a defendant, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you cry, it could be considered crocodile tears or an emotional ploy. If you're stoic, you are heartless and have no remorse and you are a monster. So I do wonder kind of how lawyers go about prepping their clients. Are there are there tricks or tools that they give? Do they want them to look nervous? Do they, is there a strategy involved in that? That would be kind of something I'm interested in, because I definitely foresee this becoming a bigger part of trial strategy and defense work as cases become more mainstream. Mainstream media is picking up on Laura Owens. Finally, where have you been for 3 years? Honest to goodness, mainstream media. That is the weirdest thing, to see mainstream media pick up on something that LawTube has been covering for a long time, like it's brand new. And thank you, Sarah. This is Sarah for gifting a membership. That went to I Am the Princess. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have dark chocolate, sarcasm, and, well, a little bit of a palate for the cringe-larious. Welcome to the darkish side. We generally use dark humor to cope, but we feel bad about ourselves sometimes when we do it a little too grievously. All right. But he does have a very flat affect, and because his face is so angular, it can come across as unintentionally harsh when he's simply sitting there. So I do wonder if the defense team put any thought into that. I mean, these are the things that I geek out over. And thank you, Alice G.
Defense called Kathy Wolfenbarger.
And then Kathy Wolfenbarger, again, if you're new to this trial, that is going to be Christopher Wolfenbarger's mother, and the woman who had, not just yet, Paula, I will tell you that I need to add checking my email to my calendar list. I am trying to be more type A, so I'm trying to work by a schedule. So I need to check my email, because if I don't have it on my list, I have a tendency to fail to do it.
Miss Hilton, there are some exhibits up here. I think they're yours. Before you have a seat, if you'll face the deputy and raise your right hand, he'll swear you in.
Okay, wait a minute. I have a question. And because I'm nosy and I may have superpowers only in one actual thing, not that I would say this in real life, because my general rule has always been, unless you see a baby crowning, you don't ask a woman if they're pregnant. But is she with child? Because I've noticed the umpire styling, or is she just simply a woman that carries more weight in her stomach area? I don't know, but are we expecting an expansion in Fulton County Court District? Also, does anyone hear the name Damien as a thought?
Before you have a seat, if you'll face the deputy and raise your right hand, he'll swear you in.
And Alice G., I did try to look when this case was actually contemporaneous or going on in real time, and I looked through local reporting and asked ChatGPT. There was really no information as to why he was in a wheelchair, why he had requested one. So that's really anyone's guess. Now, I've been pretty swamped, so I haven't dug back since jumping back in the case, but I will definitely take a look at that tonight, because it really hasn't come out yet.
Do you swear or affirm to the testimony that you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but
Oh my God, I realized what about his face arrest me. Now, stick with me, and this might be a Mo quirk. Indulge my tism for just a minute. He would make a fabulous drag queen. Look at those cheekbones and the full lips. I understand now why he arrested. I have a weird thing for men who would make really good drag queens. It kind of arrests me.
Do you swear or affirm to the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so that's you have a seat. Please state and spell your full name for the court.
Kathy Wolfenbarger, CathyWolfenbarger.
Good morning, Ms. Wolfenbarger.
Good morning.
Suffice to say, you may
And here's the part that always kind of guts me. And as much as I have fun kind of watching this as a human drama that I don't have any stake in, the weight of this having to raise Melissa's children is written all over this woman's face. For as much entertainment as we get out of this, there are real humans, and at the bottom of this, real lives that have been destroyed and real justice that will not be served. So I use dark humor and the shenanigans of it all to kind of gloss over that fact, because otherwise we either chuckle or we buckle. So as much as, I tend to be a deeply unserious person, you can tell that this has weighed heavily on her life's journey, on her story, just by her posture and her face.
be a little bit nervous.
Yes.
You don't like cameras,
No.
unlike some of us.
No.
Do you know the defendant?
I do.
How do you know him?
He's my son.
Okay, I want to ask you to lean forward, please, and speak closer to the microphone.
Okay.
And remember to talk kind of slowly.
Okay.
So, how do you know him?
He's my son.
Okay. And did you know Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Yes.
And how did you know Melissa Wolfenbarger?
His wife.
Okay. And did you spend a lot of time around Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. And describe your relationship at the time that you were around her somewhat.
Well, they mostly lived with my mom, and the kids was there, and I would go and visit up there.
How far away did you live from your mom?
From Locust Grove to Stockbridge.
Okay. So how often would you go up there?
She is, just bless her heart, and not in the backhanded, like, bitchy way. Okay, y'all, I am so socially awkward, but I can't stand to see someone so just incredibly out of their comfort zone that I would want to comfort her, but I would end up, look, I end up just awkwardly like petting people because I never know what to do with my hands, and I always, get worried about whether this hug has now become a hostage situation. So I never know the boundaries of hug etiquette and their intricacies. So I end up awkwardly patting people. So it's a high form of, I empathize with you, but I suck at human connection.
Maybe, I don't know.
Mr. Mo is like, are you patting me? I'm like, look, I'm doing my best to people, MFer. This is what you got. You saw the ride, still bought the ticket. I'm socially awkward. You're getting pat.
No, just every other day or once a week or something.
Okay. I want to show you a document that's already been admitted into evidence. Are you familiar with that document?
Now, I do want to do a quick side-by-side because I think it is important. Now, bear with me. It's going to take a couple seconds. But for those of you who are just jumping into this case, I want to give you a bit of a taste of Norma. So a kind of battle of the moms to kind of give you a feel, because this mother is coming on incredibly genuine, incredibly, trustworthy, but and you can tell that this is costing her greatly. I want you to juxtapose that with Norma's testimony. Just for a little bit. Just indulge me on this because I think it will really make things a lot clearer about where maybe the jury was seeing her as a not reliable witness. Oh, crud. I need to... So this is Norma Patton. Now, hopefully the local news is not going to ding me, but also, ma'am, you couldn't have worn a formal bra or a bra of any kind. We're just going to let our yitties rest on our stomach. Look, I have already prejudged and sentenced her guilty to tacky for the no bra. As a person who is a member of the over-the-shoulder boulder holder club, not the itty-bitty committee, which this might be permissible in, if you have yitties that look like a, gym sock with a tennis ball at the end, kindly for the rest of humanity, put a bra on. It doesn't have to be an underwire. You can smush them into a uniboob in a sports bra. But for the love of humanity, I don't want to have to worry about, navel or nipple when you decide to wear a freaking crop top. Also, could you just respect the court enough to please actually just wear a bra? Could that happen? Not to mention, she is a dead ringer for Agra the Trash Muppet from Dark Crystal. Now you haven't had the full Norma experience, so let's get into this.
Looks like the podium's not cooperating. That didn't need to be on the record.
I mean, if Dolores Umbridge was a real person, this woman, so optically, her face is one that makes you question whether she watches Old Yeller on repeat, just to revel in the doggy, homicide, okay? Like, this woman seems like she only gets really happy when watching Schindler's List based on her face. So, and I agree, I will say that I profile people, and she could be the nicest person in the world. I mean, she's not. But you have this face, you better be baking cookies, and like saving neighborhood cats to overcome this resting witch face, okay? The Mosey is strong in this trial. Holy crap, Zoli. The state moves with the speed of smell.
Living in Jonesboro, Riverdale.
And what about when the two of you first got married? Where were you living?
Ellenwood.
And what part of the state did you raise your two children?
Partially Clayton County, and then we moved to Stockbridge, and then moved to Locust Grove.
Did you ever visit Atlanta, the area of Atlanta when your daughters were growing up?
No, not really.
Now, you were testifying that Melissa, your daughter, had left a note for you. You recall that testimony?
Yes.
How often would she do that?
I think she left the note. I think it was only one time, but she left pictures multiple times.
If you could just guesstimate, how many different occasions would you say she's done that?
I'd say about around 4 or 5.
Let me see if I can get to the part where she admits to helping her husband, casually just dispose of bodies.
How soon after that do you recall speaking with media or going on a podcast in particular?
It was it was years. I don't think we did the podcast until, I don't remember the date. I think around 2021.
Okay. And
Now, I always like to kind of diagnose people's blind spots. This woman suffers from Sarah Boone levels of being unable to judge a room. And what I mean by that is she doesn't understand that normal people will be just a scotch off put and maybe question her fitness as a witness when she divulges that she helped her husband in, as an accessory after the fact for multiple red rums and helped him plan. So she suffers from absolute inability to interpret or correctly understand what she is putting out in the room and how people are receiving everything about her. It is an interesting thing because it's so diametrically opposed to everything I do because I'm socially anxious. So I second guess everything I do and worry about how everyone perceives all of my actions to the point of, almost social paraxia, just basically can't, move, or paralyzing. The inability to not be able to observe your general surroundings and reality as other people perceive you is fascinating to me.
what sparked or initiated you appearing on podcast? What was the purpose of that?
I went and trying to bring Melissa's case to the forefront because nothing was being done.
Now, this is how, and this could have been a very compelling witness had this been spun as and a genuine, cry for justice, however hypocritical, for someone who is responsible for the destruction of multiple families to plead for our justice system. That could have been a compelling story of a mother, begging for redemption and accountability from a justice system she skirted. That could have been a compelling thing if she was self-aware, if she owned that fact and was humble about it. She could have actually been a completely compelling witness, in my opinion. But because of her lack of ability to read a room, she comes off as arrogant, the cat who ate the canary, this very, very one-dimensional, almost cartoon character level of evil and disconnection that doesn't make a jury sympathize with you, wouldn't make a jury forgive you or see a person, trying to see redemption. This woman is utterly off-putting and has no knowledge of how she's perceived. It's fascinating to me. How can you be this oblivious? I don't know. As a person who agonizes over everything I do in public to, neurotic levels of pedanticness.
Original detective had retired from the case, and I was having trouble finding out any information about what was being done.
Okay. Now, did you go on, say, one interview or podcast, or did you do multiple during that period?
We did, I think, total of 3 podcasts.
Okay. And did you participate in any other interviews besides, say, podcasts in particular, with any other media outlets?
Last year, I think there was one. I don't remember what it was. I know I did one. I just don't remember the name of it.
Okay. And have you been contacted in this year, the year 2025, have you been contacted by anyone related to any media outlets for this particular case?
Yes.
Yeah. It turns out, because we're not going to watch all of Norma's testimony today, that Norma had signed a contract, kind of a development contract with Netflix to basically document the family's journey along the criminal justice system between basically going from the Flint River unalivings to, again, this delusional idea that Carl Jr. was going to get probation should Chris Wolfenbarger be convicted. So she did make that her life's mission, but she did, contingent upon Chris Wolfenbarger being convicted, meaning that she has every reason to give biased testimony to shade things in all the badness, in monetary, morally, and based on her personal moral compass, no sweat off her nip, proclivity to basically lie her ass off.
What medium contacted you?
I think it's law and crime, I think, or something along that line.
Okay.
I don't really remember the...
Let me try to get where she just talks about the body, or helping move the bodies. Okay, so, and just to give you a little
Wasn't it
taste
Melissa that
of,
found that baby?
Yes.
And was that around?
so this is kind of a big thing that the defense brought forward, that Melissa's childhood was chaotic, was not a childhood that anyone would want a young girl to be exposed to. Apparently, there was a lot of family chaos up to and including the fact that her older sister did give birth to, now it's a bit nebulous here, a stillbirth or something of that nature, and hid it in the laundry basket. And Melissa, at the age of, I think, 13 or 14, was the one who discovered the body. Now, the sister did end up doing some time in prison for, I think, illegal disposal of a human remains or something to that level. So there does seem to be a hell of a lot of skeletons and dysfunction in the Patton family.
1992,
1991.
91. And Melissa would have been 14 years old at that time, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, as you discussed, I think earlier in your testimony, you're aware that Melissa turned over temporary custody of her children to Christopher's parents in 1996.
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett, and you presented us with a letter on Friday that Melissa, you say, wrote to you before that.
Yes.
And have you read this letter?
Yes.
Now, it's very subtle, but this is where I come up with a theory, and it's just Mo speculation. I think that Melissa choosing Chris's mother to take custody of the children was something tantamount to disloyalty to the family. I believe that Norma and Carl fancied themselves something akin to the mob or Bonnie and Clyde or mafioso style families where, look, your loyalty at the end of the day comes down to the family. And I believe that given her demeanor, she strikes me as a person somewhat like Myra Henley, that is able to do atrocious things without them causing much scarring or emotional damage to her. At that point, Melissa would be firmly against the family, making her the enemy. And a lot of the Flint River killings were in service to keeping people that had witnessed previous crimes that the family or the parents did quiet and from going to the police. So if Melissa did the dual crimes of both not leaving her children to her parents, tantamount, besmirching the family's honor, and, possibly saying in a moment of anger, in a moment of pique, hey, you know what? I'm gonna tell everyone about your crimes. Like, you want to come at me about being a bad parent, whatever, which I would think would be a natural thing for a 20-year-old to do, to not gauge the deadliness of that situation, to not realize that her parents, once they marked her as the enemy, would see her and treat her as such with no emotional attachments. I mean, these are all just it's a scenario, and I'm making it sound real believable, but I don't know the true things. But if any couple were capable of staging a homicide scene, of implicating Chris Wolfenbarger, most of the time I say that conspiracies can't work because, conspiracies are full of idiots. But these two had the skill set to be able to do this, to set this up, and to make Chris look guilty. And Chris isn't a saint. Chris did allegedly lay hands on Melissa. It just seems like, and follow my logic, because criminals aren't thinking enthusiasts for the most part. They aren't galaxy brains. But the sole reason for disarticulation or dismemberment is to hide the identity of a person. Why would you go through all the trouble and labor of separating the pieces and parts of the body into separate bags, then place them directly across the street from where you used to work and where the marital home was? It somewhat defeats the purpose. And I understand that crime doesn't have to make logic, but people are essentially lazy and don't put the effort in unless there's a payoff for them. And I would think dismemberment, the obscuring of identity, and the fact that the parents were known to put their victims in trash bags does, raise the probability in my mind that this could have happened. Again, this is totally speculation on my point, but it does raise the possibility in my opinion. But there's a little taste of Norma, all that I can really stomach, to be honest with you. And I'm putting my own personal experiences and, with it, so I could be utterly wrong. But I do think that that was an avenue that wasn't fully fleshed out by the investigation, leading to Christopher's acquittal. Because those answers, that reasonable doubt, if anyone in the jury has done the same logic tree that I've done, that's reasonable doubt. And the state should have anticipated that. I am irritated that Fulton County decided to bring this case half-cocked, and now there's Norma out there. I don't really care about that. But there are two children that will now never know the truth about what happened to their mom. And they could have waited. They could have built a solid case, even though it seems to be out of their skill set as a functional crew. It could have happened. They could have waited. But to show some kind of win because Fannie Willis utterly destroyed the YSL case and everything else, they wanted to show a win with a cold case. And they went in half-cocked, and the result is that Christopher was acquitted, which was the right choice based on the case they presented. But is still just aggravating that now there's another family that is denied justice at the end of the day.
Yes.
And can you describe what that document is?
Melissa giving me temporary custody of the children.
Right. Okay. And when she gave that to you, did she give you any reason why she was choosing you as opposed to someone else?
She does not want them down her parents' house.
Yeah. And again, as a jury member, juxtaposed to Norma, who came in with this big, if y'all ever watched Rocko's Modern Life, Mrs. Big Mouth smile of evil on her face, versus this woman, because it can be seen as a little shady, like she didn't want them with them trashy people. But it's more matter of fact here. She's just laying things out. I mean, as a juror, I'm looking at this woman and I'm like, okay, yeah, she obviously wants to protect her son, but she comes off as much more believable, much more understanding in her delivery, in what she would say and how she's acting, that you can tell this isn't a game or some, glib joke or some control thing to her. This is genuine. This has weighed on her life. This has affected her family deeply, and it shows. And if Norma was able to pass off any of these traits, she would have been a far better witness for the state. But she lacks the ability to human.
And at some point later, did you make that temporary custody permanent?
She did.
Okay. And you remember what year that was?
I don't know.
And when she had you do that, did you go down to the courthouse, or how did that work out? How did you get?
And for those of you playing bingo, we've got Bless Your Heart. What the hell is this case? I'll allow hill chuck behavior and state fork on a spork.
The message from her that she wanted you to do that.
Called me on the phone.
From where did she call you from?
I was at my mother's house, my parents' house.
And where was she calling from?
I assumed the court place. I
At
don't
the
know.
courthouse?
Mhm.
Do you remember when Christopher and Melissa moved to Atlanta? Just generally speaking.
I'm not sure.
Do you remember that they moved to Atlanta?
When they moved to Atlanta?
That they moved to Atlanta?
Yes, they did move to Atlanta.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember what street they moved on to?
Brookline,
Okay. And who owned the house they lived in?
my parents,
Your parents, both William Autry
and Virginia.
Virginia Autry.
Yes.
And did they own any other houses in that area?
Two, there was three altogether.
3 altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And did a Mr. Holyfield ever own the house that Christopher lived in?
No, he didn't.
Okay. To your knowledge, did he own any of the houses? That
He did
your
not.
parents- Okay.
As my knowledge, he didn't.
Do you know who Mr. Holyfield was?
I'm not sure who, I've heard of the name, but I'm not really sure who he was.
This case has a lot of their mom and them. Mr. Holyfield, now, again, a lot of who these characters actually are is somewhat nebulous, but Mr. Holyfield was either a man who lived on the other side of their duplex but was deaf, living with a caretaker, or an uncle / some sort of distant family relation that rented out his duplex to them. Again, nailing down dates or times or actual familial relations in this case, just nuts.
I'm not talking about the boxer.
Oh, no, okay, no.
All right. Do you remember during the time that Melissa went missing? Did you ever talk to the police? Did the police ever come to talk to you about Melissa being missing?
I can't recall, but I don't know. I can't remember.
And again, the chance for justice was really dropped at the missing person. Missing persons took a year to check to see if she had any kind of monetary or fiduciary activity, credit cards, use of her social to find work. They basically made a report and let it languish. No one did anything for it. Had they taken the initiative, had they actually investigated, had they said, hey, a young mom with a history of possible DV has gone missing, they might have found the missing body or the body parts sooner. But it was all very lackadaisical.
If they did, I don't know.
Is it possible that
It's
they
possible they did.
Okay. And somewhere around the time frame of 2001, early 2000s, do you remember ever taking down Melissa's pictures from your home?
Well, I'm always changing my walls and my pictures and stuff, so probably did.
Is it possible that it
Possible,
happened?
yes.
Okay. Do you remember a time that certain pictures of Melissa were stolen from your house?
Yes.
Okay. Describe that a little bit.
What in the, and we can mark off family drama and Jerry Springer is needed. What in the Jerry Springer family dysfunction, stealing familial pictures? I give up.
For me.
When we had moved to McDonough, I had photo albums in my garage, and there were some photo albums pictures got gone out of the photo albums, and there was 2 lanterns that I had out there that was gone.
2 lanterns.
Lanterns I had on my front porch I had put in the garage, and they had got.
Who in the hill, Chuck? And I mean the hillbilly of hillbilliest steals lanterns. Please tell me it wasn't a lawn jockey. She's saying lanterns like, but honest to God, who steals lawn ornaments? Like, you have to be super hill, Chuck, to want to steal the lanterns and the marble, looking glass from someone's front lawn while you're stealing pictures. Chiplets in a handbasket.
Gone.
And why had you moved the lanterns to the garage?
Because we was working on the front porch painting it, and we just putting the stuff in the garage.
Okay. So you were doing some renovation work
Yes.
and you put some stuff in storage in the garage?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Hilton, any questions for this witness?
I really don't like, but I know that the state is definitely going to attack that pictures of Melissa were taken down. Now, as I've made no secret about, the fact that I've journeyed through the loss of my first husband, and I can tell you that I didn't have a lot of pictures of him up. Mostly, again, my kiddos deserve to have an untainted view of their father, and I really couldn't think of anything nice to say for a long time. That's a personal failing on my part that shouldn't affect my kiddos. So that's kind of how I looked at it. But I didn't have a lot of pictures. I didn't have a lot of things. I didn't make a point to bring him up in conversation. And part of me will always feel guilty about that. But part of me, we walk through what we walk through and we cope how we cope, and we just do the best we can as humans. So if she took down the pictures because it was just too hard to deal with, I really, really just hate this particular argument.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I swear to God, if Miss Love brings up the power of Hallmark compels you, I will lose my shit and need a sanity break. I swear to God, if she brings up a bunch of Hallmark cards that were dropped off at Mama and Papa's house, I'ma lose it.
Now, you just spoke on direct examination regarding the homes your parents owned on Brookline. The homes your parents owned, let me not touch the mic. The home your parents owned on Brookline Street in Atlanta.
Yes.
You said it was 3 homes?
There was duplexes.
Duplexes?
Yeah.
But were there 3 duplexes that they owned?
Yes.
And is one of the addresses 823 Brookline?
Yes.
Was another address 824 Brookline?
Yes.
And what was the third address?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Now, these homes, are they the homes that...
See, and that is the thing, and this is where jury, you can strategize, but you never know what's going to connect with that one juror. Because right there, when she was just very clear and very, I don't remember, it's been a long time, kind of self-deprecating, to me, that clinched it. Look, I think this woman's genuine. And for every juror is going to be something, that unlocks that key on whether they trust the witness or don't. And I think there's going to be a lot more study in the psychology of all of this as trials become more and more of a sporting event.
That you grew up in?
The 823 one was.
823 you grew up in. Did you have other family members in 824 in the other?
My uncle.
About how old were you when you moved from Brookline?
How old was I?
Yes, because you said you grew up in 823, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably about 17 or 18.
When you moved out of Brookline, did your parents still live there?
Yes.
And did your parents eventually move from Brookline?
Yes.
Roughly what years do you think your parents may have moved from Brookline?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
70s, 80s, 90s?
Probably about 2000. I don't know.
Oh, 2000.
I guess. I don't.
And here's the thing that people don't tell you about grief and kind of trauma is there are full years where try as I might for, and I mean, y'all know how I love just, musing in my own head. Try as I might, I have very vague memories of entire years. Just because I was in survival mode and due to brain chemistry or quirks of my internal brain chemistry, memories that I wish I had clear are fuzzy. Like I know I was functional. I know I functioned well enough that no one, 5150 me. But as far as who I was, what I was doing day to day, things that you can generally remember, or at least arcs, nothing. So I have a lot more grace with her. Now, again, that's my own personal life experience extending grace to this woman. If I hadn't walked through what I've walked through, would I have that knowledge? Would I have that experience? Probably not. Again, we are all shaped by our life's experiences, our perspectives, and the wisdom that we've gotten along those lines. So, like I said, that's the part that really geeks me out. How one small thing can make me really empathize, sympathize, and trust and connect with this witness versus Norma, who, and they are extremely different, characters. But I find it really interesting how all of this works, how peopling works in general.
I'm not sure.
Even if I can't do it.
Once you moved out of the Brookline house, did you ever live back on Brookline?
No.
Once you moved out of Brookline, how often did you go back to Atlanta?
I don't know. I don't know.
I apologize, ma'am. I've heard everything you've said so far, but if you'll just make sure and speak up a little bit into that microphone. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Would you ever go to Brookline to check on the homes on Brookline?
To check on? No. Why would I? No.
No.
Mm.
At some point, did your brother Rick live in one of the houses on Brookline?
Yes.
Which house did he live in? Do you remember?
823.
Did you ever visit your brother on Brookline?
Yes.
Did your brother live at 823 Brookline in the late 80s, early 90s?
I'm sure he did. I'm not sure, I guess.
Would Chris ever visit your brother Rick at the 823 Brookline house?
I don't know, because I mean, I guess, I don't know.
Now, Mr. McDermott asked you about a Mr. Holyfield? Mm-hmm. Is that a yes?
I'm sorry, yes.
It's okay. Do you know Mr. Holyfield's first name?
I have no idea.
Now, you said that Mr. Holyfield never owned any of your homes. Do you know Mr. Holyfield managed any of the homes?
No,
Okay. How do you know Mr. Holyfield?
I don't.
Okay. How do you know that name?
Because it was through the, I don't know him.
Did he have some connection to your parents' homes on Brookline?
I don't know who. I've heard the name, but I don't know.
Now, here's what I do notice. Now, the state prosecutor, Adrienne Love, she's very authoritative and a bit condescending when she asks questions. While I do like the tonal quality as far as the assertiveness, because I am tired of women doing this sweet princessy voice with the uptalk. So I give her points for at least tonal quality, but she can't help but add that tinge of condescension that really is a bit too aggressive with this witness. This witness looks about terrified, is having a hard time relaxing. And if you wanted to get any sort of information about her, your strategy should be to relax her, to be non-confrontational, because she would be better able to access those memories and possibly trip herself up. Welcome, Wolf, or have a good lunch, Wolfram. I hope it's tasty. Thank you for all of your Modly Mod duties. Build rapport, yeah, because she's a very timid, very, very anxious woman. This is not her comfy zone. She is expending so much bandwidth right now, not having an out-of-body experience, that she is not going to have the recall that she would have if she just relaxed a little bit. And a skilled prosecutor should know when you bring out your snark, your wit, and your sarcasm, and when you are gentle with a witness. I don't think that this was a good look for them. If I'm a jury member, I'm going to get irritated about you badgering this woman who is looking like she's trying not to peel her own skin off from anxiety.
She testified on cross that she didn't know who he was. So this is pretty much asked and answered. What's the point?
Overruled. Go ahead.
You said you know the name. Why do you know that name?
And you can go ahead and mark objection.
For the houses, I don't know who. I don't know.
Now, you said that Chris and Melissa lived at your parents' house at some point.
Yes.
Asked and answered and established in the current war.
If Chrissy was born in August of 1995, is that fair? Chrissy was born in August of 1995?
Yes.
When did they live with your parents?
The years I'm terrible with the years. Oh, probably a year old or so, or maybe, I don't know, before, but probably about a year old or so, or before. I don't know. But.
Were they living with your parents before Chrissy was born?
Before, I don't think so. I think they had, no, or I don't know.
So is it fair to say they didn't live with your parents until after Chrissy was born?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's sometimes after 1995?
Yes.
And they lived with your mother for about 2 years, 2 or 3 years, and moved to Brookline in 1998?
Sounds like it, yes.
and they moved into 824 Brookline.
Yes.
Did you ever visit them at 824 Brookline?
I guess. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't know.
You said you don't think so?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you know if they were paying rent to your mother when they were staying at 824 Brookline?
I'm pretty sure there was.
Miss Adrian Love, where are we going with this? Because you spent an inordinate amount of time giving us, the last, gasp of the Hallmark defense. Are we now going on? This woman doesn't know the cogent information about all the inner workings as far as their rent. All you are doing is, and maybe this is also a strategy to make her look like she doesn't remember things and could be an irrelevant witness. But what is coming off to me and the general chat public is that you're badgering this very timid, very subservient woman, and it's kind of pissing us off. So maybe you could get to a damn point or find one like Carmen Sandiego. Freaking Where's Waldo?
Now, in 1998, at least the early part of 1998, you had temporary guardianship of Chrissy and Joey, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever take the kids to go visit their parents on Brookline?
They would come and visit them. Yeah, they would come. Yeah.
When you say they would come, will you bring the kids to Brookline, or are you saying they?
Ma'am, Miss Adrian Love, we've all agreed upon language and what words mean, and this is English. So what the sentence, they would visit us, indicates without having to spell it out like you are a WB script writer, that would indicate that they came to her house. Holy crap, this is what got me in trouble in high school. I could not deal with people that could not glean, extraneous facts from random data. I was able to do it quite easily and couldn't understand the people that could not make the connection.
They mean Melissa and Chrissy would come to you.
Chris and Melissa would come in there.
They would come to visit you?
They would, yes, they would come, yes.
Did you ever visit Christopher at his job, at any jobs he ever had?
No.
Do you know where your son was working back in 1998?
I'm not sure, but they said the glass place is what, is that, I don't know.
Had you ever been to the glass place?
No, I don't even know where it, no.
You said you don't even know where it is?
No.
Isn't it true that Melissa wanted to dissolve your temporary guardianship in 1998?
Well, no offense to Melissa, who's not here to defend herself, but Melissa was petitioning the court, and the court, looking at all the pertinent evidence and thinking of the children, decided to not dissolve the temporary guardianship. So Melissa could have basically said whatever she wanted to, but the court, using its logic, stated that they weren't going to relinquish it. So she could ask all she wants. But there you go.
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
She did not want to dissolve it.
I'm sorry. Can you reread what you said? I mean,
Did Melissa want to dissolve the temporary guardianship?
dissolve it?
Did she not want you to have her kids anymore for a short period of time?
No. I don't.
Are you aware about an incident in July of 1998 in which Melissa took out a TPO on your son, a temporary protective order on your son?
I did not.
Did you ever go to court with your son to answer to a temporary protective order?
I didn't know anything about it.
When Chrissy,
And while this does seem to kind of stretch the suspension of disbelief that this woman, really can't remember if she was present or not, as a person that has several years of this blankness, I would be just as hard pressed to give you straight answers about a couple of years in my early 20s or mid 20s. Math is still elusive. So she strikes me as a person who had enough on her plate dealing with two young children that became her responsibility somewhat out of the blue and, not in her life plan, that she didn't have the bandwidth for anything else. Caring for smallish human people is not for the faint of heart and does kind of take up all of your adulting bandwidth. So, and it was nearly 20 years ago, nearly 30 years ago when all of this was contemporaneous. So having gaps here and there, I can see where some people would maybe see this as an act, but as a person who has the memory lapses, and I could be projecting my own issues with memory onto her, it's not as far-fetched as it would be if I didn't have my life experience.
and Joey were younger, isn't true you wanted them to call you mother or mom?
No, they just called me Mom, but they knew I was their grandmother.
Did you ever tell Chrissy or Joey about Melissa after she disappeared?
I told them we would go look for her, but we didn't know where to go look.
When you say you would go look for her, what do you mean?
I mean, she was gone. We would look. I mean,
Where'd you go look for her?
I don't have no idea. I mean, if somebody would go, we'd just go look for her.
Where'd you go look for her?
We didn't because we didn't know where to go.
Oh, so you didn't go look for her?
No.
Did you ever tell them about their mother?
Miss Love, did your police department ever actually look for the missing person? Survey says no. No, they didn't. So why should the onus be on this woman who's already taking care of this woman's progeny be on her to go find this, errant mother who had already permanently signed away her rights to her children? If you're going to use this as, a motive or a show of lack of emotional care, I'm wondering why you're holding her to a higher standard than you did the Georgia PD.
I told her that she had left and that we would go look for her. If we could, that's about it.
Okay, so you told them that she had left and that you would go look for her.
Yeah.
But you never went to go look for her?
We didn't know where she was at.
So why did you tell the kids that you were going to go look for her?
Miss Love, I mean, let's just say in case that bump was impending motherhood, let me explain to you why you sometimes maybe lie to your children. From a mom of 6, so maybe you'll take me as somewhat an expertologist. Because from the moment they wake up to the moment they get down, toddlers' main job is to learn everything about everything because they don't know anything. But that leads to a constant cavalcade of questions of, varying insanity and ridiculous that you are expected to not only have an answer to, but to be able to explain right to a small, tiny, irrational human being who will not listen to logic. Such as, why do elephants, not fly? We watch Dumbo. Why is that a thing? Why is Jesus's twin brother Santa? And after about question 8,000,003,000, you suddenly become bereft of the ability to give a shit. And so you will simply put out whatever will not get you a call by CPS, if you're my self and then wonder why your kids are always in trouble for being smartasses. But because, after answering a gajillion and 20 questions, about why dogs can't speak Spanish and, why Sonic isn't a real person and, a gajillion and other questions like, why don't you like Baby Shark in Mandarin? You suddenly have the feeling of your soul and your entire adulthood being sucked out of your body through your eyeballs. And you wonder if you will ever be able to relate to another adult human being in your life again. You start questioning humanity and your purpose in life. So that is why maybe you don't flesh out every, discussion with your toddlers about, all of life's vagaries, because you're just fucking human and you don't know how many times you actually have to lick a Tootsie Pop till you get to the center, and you don't feel inclined to test it out right at this moment. So just in case you are worrying or confused, the one thing I'm in fact an expertologist on is why this woman didn't go out to look for a woman who basically signed away her rights to the eternal perpetual motion question machines that she biologically created, but this woman was now obligated to raise. Those are the reasons she didn't go look for this woman, regardless of maybe the dire urgency that someone should have looked for this woman. Like the police.
We would go look for her if we knew where she was at. I mean,
So is that what you told the kids? If we knew where she was, we would go look for her?
yeah, I mean, yeah, we didn't know where she was at. I mean, she left.
Now, as a person who's had to explain the unexplainable to toddlers, I think that's a perfect example. They took, again, kids understand concrete. They don't understand abstractions like, parents absconding from their responsibility. What they do understand are concrete things, object permanence. The book remains regardless of if it's here or if I throw it where I can't see it. These are just concepts that are becoming, things that they can grasp at that age. So telling them that when we have an action that we can do, we will go do something, puts it in a rational, easy to understand logic of a child. When we get something, we'll go. And I think it explains perfectly the mind F that is a mother, basically just leaving out of the blue. So as I have already said that I hate this particular line of questioning, I think it is tantamount to Theodore Edgecombe's attorneys questioning a widow's grief of the husband. It's a really off-putting argument, and I don't think they should have done it. But it's the state's case to lose, and I'm guessing a big part of why they lost is these kind of arguments.
Did you ever tell the children that Melissa was their mother?
Yes. And Chris was the father.
Now, you talked about, I guess, Melissa's pictures being stolen. Is that what you told Mr. McDermott?
There was pictures, yes.
Tell me about that. So was just Melissa's picture stolen or all the pictures were stolen?
There was pictures in my photo albums was gone, and some of them was the pictures of Melissa, yes.
So was it only the pictures of Melissa that were stolen?
Adrian Love, you are the kind of student that would have driven me absolutely batty in high school. The woman just said that not all of the pictures contain. You passed the bar exam? How, when you're not able to glean extraneous facts from plain English? When your comprehension level of extraneous facts and your ability to work them into your thinking pattern seems to be negative. Jesus.
Pictures of her and Chrissy and just of the kids and all, and her.
Did the children ever ask you, strike that, let me ask a better question. Do you recall,
Facts not in evidence. This woman is not capable of asking a better question. We are stuck with this level of mediocrity awesomeness the entire rest of her life.
Chrissy and Joey finding pictures and asking you about Melissa in those pictures?
No.
Do you recall not telling them who Melissa was?
No.
Do you recall once they began questioning you about Melissa, taking the pictures and putting them in a shed?
No.
Is there any reason anyone would have to make that up?
The children are convinced that their father red-rummed their mother, and they've probably been listening to Norma. And between these two women, which is a woman that looks or seems more likely, based on the personalities that they've displayed, to take every piece of information, weaponize it, and, use it to manipulate children in order to posthumously, exonerate her husband. Now, this woman couldn't be the best manipulator ever. She could be doing a total act. I don't know her behind doors, but based on the evidence we've just received from this trial, who is willing to basically topple over anyone to make sure that Chris gets into custody, not only for the kind of posthumous redemption of her husband, but also for monetary Netflix bucks? And who looks like she would rather be anywhere up to and including the DMV totally nude than here?
I have no idea.
Would Chris ever tell his children about their mother?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Did you ever see Chris do it?
No, he would have them.
How often will he have the kids?
Look, and in Chris's defense, he has done some things that I find utterly reprehensible if they were proved true, like the allegations of DV. I don't care how messed up the marriage is, and regardless of genders, keep your hands to yourself. But it is a particularly odd path when you are grieving someone who you used to love, with whom that relationship has basically devolved into utter fury of a billion suns. It is a very odd sort of grief path. And maybe let's give Chris the benefit of the doubt that he was going on the Mo path. I can't say anything nice about Melissa. The kids deserve to, come to their own conclusion about their mom. If I can't say anything nice, maybe I just won't bring it up. I don't know. I'm just saying it is a hard thing to try to process. I'm still doing it nearly 20 years later. So when anyone cracks the code, to do it, let me know. Send me a little TikTok or a email, which I will now be checking because I did add it to my schedule. But yeah, this is not as much of a smoking gun to me as maybe it would be to someone else.
He would have them a lot. I mean, he would come up and play with them and take them places, and we all went to Six Flags and just...
When's the last time you remember seeing Melissa?
I guess at the courthouse when we done the papers. I don't think...
I apologize, ma'am. I just need you to speak a little more loudly and clearly into that microphone. Thank you.
I guess when we did the paperwork at the courthouse, I mean, I don't remember when.
Now, is this in 1998?
98, I believe so.
Now, do you recall in 1998 when you got full guardianship or permanent guardianship of the children, do you remember Norma Patton bringing the children to you?
Bringing them to me?
Yes, like,
Okay, ma'am, that's not a face coming toward you that you'd forget. You'd see it in your nightmares. Did you see, real life Dolores Umbridge / Agra from the Dark Crystal coming at you? Because that would be something that would haunt my nightmares.
giving you the children.
No, I don't remember her bringing them to me. Oh.
Do you remember Norma Patton ever giving you the kids at any point in time?
I remember they was at their house one time, and they brought them back, and they had a head full of.
It was at this point the state suddenly realized that maybe having your key witness being a somewhat sociopathic accessory after the fact for multiple murders may not be the witness you want to pin credibility to. Like Norma, would she lie? Yeah.
Lice, and they had Joey had diaper rash, and me and Melissa went down to Walmart and got some stuff and done all their heads with. I mean, that's the only time I remember this.
So you never remember picking her up, picking the kids up?
The kids up? I don't.
You don't remember that?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you ever see Melissa around the holidays in 1998?
We had Christmas at my mom's house.
Okay. Do you remember that being in December of 1998 when you had Christmas at your mom's house?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay. Was Melissa present at that Christmas at your mom's house?
I guess. I mean, I guess she was.
Do you remember seeing her?
Yeah, I guess we're always there. I mean,
when you last saw Melissa, what do you remember? What did she look like?
long brown hair, just an average girl. I mean, just.
Long brown hair, about your length?
Probably.
And this is maybe around December of 1998 at that Christmas at your mom's house?
Yes.
Now,
And herein lies the lacking in the investigation. All of these years have gone by, and still the state can't pinpoint exactly when Melissa went missing. The chyron of this trial was the Thanksgiving Day red rum. But now there have been allegations that Melissa was seen in December. So the state brought this case without being able to pinpoint the exact timeline where this happened. Now, there have been other cases where, basically every case, we don't know exactly when something happened unless it was filmed. But take the Lori Vallow case. We don't know the exact time that JJ and Tylee did, but through their movements, through other evidence and pinging their phone, we were able to get pretty accurate, location data to give us a supposition of when this was most likely to have happened. In this case, we don't even know whether she was red rummed in November or December or January or any time, because the degradation of the body parts were such that they were advanced, and basically they couldn't get a timeline of decomp because of them being in plastic bags, and possibly bleach or a cleaning agent was also used on the bags. So again, ask yourself the logic it makes to go through the pain and trouble of dismembering the bodies, put them in double bagging them in their own individual limbs and skull bags, and then bleaching the insides, only to place said body parts, limbs, skull directly across from your work and within 800 yards of your marital home. Now, I get that criminals aren't logical, but people in general don't invest that much energy to basically negate it unless they have eaten lead paint chips or are criminally sabotagers.
After Christmas of 1998, when you didn't see her anymore, did you have any concern about her whereabouts?
Yes.
Did you call the police or anyone to see that she was missing or to report that she was missing?
No.
To your knowledge, did your son call to tell anyone that his wife is missing?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay, gentlemen in the chat, your ex-wife who's basically told you to screw off, she's done sleeping with other Waffle House gentlemen, she's basically told you and her entire family to screw off. Do you jump up when she no longer adds any drama to your life? If she happens to disappear for 2 months and the drama suddenly leaves from your life, do you call missing persons, or do you just thank God in the universe or the giant spaghetti monster in the sky that she's found someone else to haunt? Because again, they had dissolved their marriage. They didn't have the children tying them together. Had she maintained custody, I could see the motivation for Chris to call in a missing persons. But they had basically separate lives. And Melissa was engaging in probably behavior that we've all done in our early 20s, but extremely dangerous, like, hanging out with people, not really caring about their criminal background, maybe doing not street legal pharmaceuticals, and, abandoning her kids, none of which deserves how her death or how she was left. But there are more threads to pull in this case, and I wish they had actually done a good investigation. And you can mark out Waffle House on the bingo card.
In 2000, do you recall a detective from the Henry County Police Department coming to speak to you about Melissa's disappearance?
In 2000?
Yes.
I don't remember.
And do you remember being reluctant about giving him information about Chris?
I don't remember that, no.
Do you recall this detective wanting to kind of make contact with Chris so he can talk to Chris about his wife's disappearance?
I got no recall about any of that, no.
And I guess, is it fair to say that since Melissa went missing, you didn't really go look for her, right?
No, I didn't know where she was at.
To your knowledge, your son didn't go looking for her, right?
I'm pretty sure he did. I don't know.
And it's safe to say you love your son, right?
Yes.
And as a mother, you're a protector of your son, right?
Yes.
The ham-fistedness with which Adrian Love has there is a scalpel, there is a finesse way that you could bring in, and you don't have to spell out to the jury that this woman might be inclined to shade the story in her son's favor, because that's a very reasonable, very human inclination for any parent. So Miss Love could have just, you want, Chris is your son. You would do anything to protect him. You can do this much subtly, not like a ham-fisted, absolutely kitschy, bird cage level of like flaming, just camp levels. There are ways to subtly imply that this witness might consciously not be shading things, but subconsciously you can understand that she will either remember things that are in favorable lights to her son, or that she could honestly remember things only that are favorable to her son. There are ways that you can imply that without implying that these are conscious things. These are very subconscious, kind of natural instincts for a parent. So there are ways to maybe bring forward and let the jury know that, hey, look, I'm not saying she's doing this, but do keep in mind the perspective by which she's testifying. Now, Adrian Love did it with all the finesse of She-Hulk from Disney.
Course and dog.
Sure.
We must have had technical difficulties. Yeah, this court is cursed. The
This
audio.
is Chrissy, and Joey at, it looks like Joey's birthday, because it's got a little birthday cake, and he's feeding Chris birthday cake. So. This is Chris, Joey, and Chrissy just caught a fish. They was out in the lake on a boat. Well, not in the boat, but there's the boat right there, and Chrissy just caught a fish.
But how old is Chrissy in that picture?
She looks, about maybe 4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a date?
And Joey too, he's there.
No. How about that one?
This is Chrissy's graduation, 18th, and Chris and me. Okay, this is Chris.
Just a second. And can you describe what's in that photograph, please?
Okay, this was Savannah, and we was in Savannah, Georgia, and we're sitting on a bench, and Chris and Melissa are eating ice cream cones. And there's Kimberly and there's Chrissy in the stroller.
And how old is Chrissy in that picture?
She's in the stroller, so I figure about 2,
And
maybe,
just,
or 1 or so.
A couple more questions. In that picture, is Melissa wearing long sleeves and long pants?
No, she's in like a little short little, what is that, like a culottes thing, like a,
And is she got any bruises on her arms or legs? Or
no.
It has been a long time since I heard a culottes mentioned, and I'm more of a skirts type of girl. Although culottes is a really fun word to say. We should all use it in a sentence today. If you're unaware or male or confused about what these things might be, imagine it looks like a skirt from the front, but it either is shorts in the back or there are shorts under the skirts. So basically you can run around and not show your hooch-magooch. So it's kind of a mix between skirts or a skirt and shorts. I mean, they're kind of, I like them, but it's been a while since I heard the term culottes.
Not at all. And she's smiling and she's laughing, happy.
Now, there was a point to the defense bringing up Melissa's kind of fashion choices. Now, it has been contended by the state that Melissa was chronically in DV situations within her marriage, to the point that even during hot summer months, she would consistently wear long sleeves, long pants to hide alleged bruising. Now, if this was something that she was actually dealing with, it wouldn't be something that she would change if she didn't have bruises. You know, if this is a pattern of something, in order not to draw attention to it, which is something that is very important when you're kind of trying to walk on eggshells, this would be kind of habitual. This would be something that you would notice. It would probably be played off with, oh, I'm always cold-blooded. You know, I'm the type that can wear a hoodie in summer kind of thing. When it becomes a habit, when it becomes armor, when it becomes a way to conceal, it becomes a way of life. Your entire life is revolving around walking on eggshells, keeping your partner safe, and keeping the truth of what's going on, because you're usually so embarrassed and your self-esteem is usually craptastic at that point, keeping everyone from noticing how wrong your life is. So these aren't things that you're going to forget, that you're going to just randomly out of the blue one day wear a tank top. When this is survival, when this is related to deep shame of being a victim of losing yourself, it's not going to be something that you are going to draw attention to. You are trying to shrink, you are trying to hide. And it's not performative. It does become something that's just as easy as breathing, just as automatic as, you know, hey, I always like black. Well, I'm going to put a long sleeve on. I'm going to, you know, but it also happens with other things that aren't as serious as DV. Think about when a woman sits down on a couch. Now, there are some of us that are married and taken, and you know, their husband or significant other realize, look, you got what you got and you can't bitch a fit. So we realize that we have that little gut, you know, bubble over when we sit down. Some women are so self-conscious and think that everyone cares and is going to notice that they can't sit down without a pillow in front of their stomach. So these are all things, you know, that are things that become a habit, that become habituated in your behavior, not things that you're going to just change just because, oh, I'm feeling slender today. Although that would be something Mo would do. Like, screw the pillow, I have a six-pack. Y'all, if I ever get a six-pack, which is why the Lord keeps abs away from me for my own, redemption. If I had a six-pack, like, there wouldn't be a crop top I wouldn't wear. Everyone would bask in the glory of my six-pack. I mean, if I earned it, I'm gonna show it off everywhere. Laundry day, baptism, parent-teacher conferences, the six-pack's gonna be out. I'm gonna have formal crop tops and such. That being said, the likelihood of me getting abs with my lack of ab workout, consistency, and love of jelly beans, probably not going to happen. So you will not have to, you know, pray at a shrine to Mo's abs. I mean, unless Julian Mitchell happens to become my personal trainer and I get a personal chef who can deal with my tismy food restrictions. So the Lord keeps abs away from me for everyone's safety.
I don't have anything further.
Ms. Hilton, any additional questions for this witness?
Say no, Miss Love.
And
Oh, this witness was so close to Mo liking her, and then she did the one unforgivable thing. And it's a bugbear that, look, it just icks me all out. But It's the self snot Kleenex that just gives me the hibbity jibbities. Now, it's a behavior that was most notably noted in Megan Boswell's trial and with small human people that decide that the effective snot removal is to take it up on their head and turn it into hair gel. Now, even as a child, since I was born 73 and apparently crotchety, that ached me out. Like I would do the full body ick dance in preschool. I was totally extra about it. I was like, "Oh my god, he's wiping his snot into his hair." So I wanted to like this woman, but the use of, yourself as a Kleenex has always been a line that kind of, like, it just icks me out. But I'll allow it because this woman is having a near out of body experience. She is an inside cat. She did not want to be televised. So I'll allow it just this once, but ick.
When y'all are done, if you'll sort of just collect the photographs on that front ledge. Thank you all.
First, ask you this. In 2020,
We were so fucking close. And then this heifer had to talk again. Damn it. Miss Love, you didn't do anything with your previous questions. Why do you think you're suddenly going to roll a 20? You are the Ian from Tim Pool. You either roll a 1 or a 20, and your 1s are ubiquitous. Your 20s are miracles. So do us all a favor and stop asking questions.
23, around December of 2023, did members of the Fulton County District Attorney's Office and Investigator Shepard come to your home or your daughter's home to speak with you?
23. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know.
Do you
Did she?
remember seeing this man before?
I don't know. Did-
Do you remember him?
don't
Seeing
remember
him?
I think I've seen him before. I mean, yes.
Was that at your home? or
At
your
my
daughter's
home? I don't think it was at my home. I don't remember. I don't know. Just,
Do you remember anyone in the 2020s coming to talk to you about Melissa's disappearance?
yeah, they came to my daughter's house. Was it last year or something like that?
And that was before Chris got arrested. Is that fair to say?
Before, yes. I think it was in January or something.
Now, we talked about these pictures. Looks like graduations, fishing trips, birthdays, kindergarten graduations. And these are all events that Melissa didn't have the pleasure of enjoying. Is that correct?
Oh, you
She was
utter see you next Tuesday. Screw you sideways. Now, listen, I get that arguments can be emotional, but do not effing come up in this courtroom as the state and try to sell an emotional argument because you lack the mental capacity or the ability to, actually conduct a good investigation. But don't come up here as the prosecutor with all the power of the state and try to sell me on some emotional bullshit. It is utterly cheap. It is crass. And, I don't know anyone that scores moral points when they take a dead woman's body and try to beat surviving family members with it. But, Miss Love, it seems like your political and judicial acumen are just about as don't wear bright pink, so don't.
Other pictures,
She's in one of the pictures, right?
I guess. I mean, yeah.
Is it just that last one where I think they asked you about what clothes she was wearing? Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
This is the only picture that has Melissa, right?
I'm sorry, is that a yes, ma'am?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
And that's good. This picture in 1995 or 6 because Chris is in Australia.
This is intro. There was one that we went to there was one that we at Six Flags.
But in this picture, this is before 1998, correct?
I guess, yes.
Okay. So this is before Melissa ever called the police on Chris.
Miss Love, I'm going to break this down in with the whiteboard of truth and maybe explain to you, because this woman strikes me as the very caring and nurturing type. And do you know what tends to get the grits, burn, scorch the grits of people, burn the biscuits, and, break the hash brown casserole of people, is for caring, nurturing people. The biggest betrayal in life you can do is to abandon your children. Now, Melissa seems to have made the caring choice, given all the factors in her chaotic lifestyle at that point. But there is no world in which you can I'm just going to go ahead and say this grandmother or myself give up my children so I can fuck on off and live my own life and make my own mistakes. There's not a lot that I can't forgive, but I cannot understand that perspective. I cannot understand putting myself in front of my kids so blatantly, so fully. So when someone shows you who they are, you don't invest. This woman took 2 children, not her own, in the years where she was probably thinking about becoming an empty nester. So yeah, it makes sense to me that she didn't, go out of her way to go searching for this woman who had basically said deuces to her kids and to the people raising them so she could go figure things out. It does occur to me that it would be hard to maybe spin it in a positive way that, she disappeared from her children's life. And where the hell were the police? Again, you didn't ask your police detectives why they didn't search for Melissa when they got the missing person, why it took them up to a year to look at her social security, her driver's license, and her checking account to see if any of them had been active. And when nothing came back, they still said, YOLO, whatever, she'll show up.
For hitting her, correct?
I don't know.
And some of these pictures are after 1999. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
After Melissa's body and head was found on Avon Street?
I guess. I mean,
Found, mislabeled as a white man, and the limbs and the skull weren't attributed to the same body for years. I mean, I could forgive a woman with access to the mediocrity on display from the Georgia Police Department wouldn't connect the clues that this was in fact her daughter-in-law's body.
After her torso, which has never been found?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what's...
That sentence doesn't work. Adrian Love, you are hurting my soul. As George Carlin, the late great, said, we all agreed on English. Let's agree on, let's stick with the language we all agreed on.
I mean, I don't know.
Melissa didn't have the opportunity to participate in her children's lives because she was dead, correct?
I guess. I mean, I don't know what happened to her. I mean,
Sustained.
It's argumentative.
I already said sustained, but thank you.
Okay.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. McDermott?
Nothing for this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You may step down, ma'am. And the witness may be excused. Mr. McDermott? Okay, the witness is excused.
The witness is running faster than the road runner being chased by Wile E. Coyote, not sponsored by Timu, but by an actual functional company. You can tell the judge is like, ma'am, way to shoot yourself in the foot and make yourself look like the biggest mega thunder cow in existence and functionally unable to glean facts from English. How she got a law degree, I'll never know. But I am going to end there. You guys, who'd have thunk that the jury wouldn't have liked this state's case? I mean, after, relying on their ultimate witness being, an alleged, accessory after the fact to disposing of red rummers and genuinely unlikable. But why not pick on the defense's, sweet grandmother? It's a mystery why the state of Georgia lost this case. It's a mystery. We need Neil deGrasse Tyson and the Scooby Gang to figure that one out. But thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys are liking the bingo card. I'm trying to get better at calling out things to mark off. And just bear with me. It's like any other skill. Once it becomes part of your pattern of doing it, it will get better. But we're still, and it's cold raining outside. So we were relatively squirrel free for the cold raininess. But I am going to go and take a rest, maybe finagle Mr. Mo into starting a fire and laying in front of it to absorb the heat. Maybe wrap myself in foil, call myself a baked potato. The options are endless. Although probably not foil, because I don't know if the latest foil that we bought is cursed. I don't know if anyone else has experienced a cursed box of foil that always cuts you, regardless of how careful and, respectful of the dangerous weapon that is tin foil you are. I don't know if I've lost my tinfoil touch. I guess there goes my hat collection. But there you go. I will see you guys all tomorrow on the Petty Express. And don't forget, it's happening tomorrow. Coburger in the evening. We are diving back into the documents and giving you updates. Looks like Coburger does have to pay additional restitution. Allow me to cry no tears for that incredibly poor optical move, and making him look like a bigger monster than we already thought he was. I mean, this defense team, when it comes to making optics decision, they are as great as Fulton County. So the bar is incredibly low, and yet they continue to limbo right under it. I'll see you all there, and don't forget, tomorrow we'll have Mornings with Mo, and the little segments, the WTF daily news and the Mo Found What will be up later on this evening, so check those out, share those, and welcome more people into the Church of Mo, the Petty Express, and all sundry and various Mo properties. Bye, you guys.